Good day. My name is Mtutuzi Nkosi, a research intern at the Financial and Fiscal Commission. I'm with Mr. Kutso Makua today, who's a researcher at the Financial and Fiscal Commission. We'll be discussing the state of local government and the challenges that the sector is currently facing. The current state of local government is one of a sector that is in dire straits and is in need of urgent assistance. The National Treasury, the Decay, and the Auditor General's Office have all stated that the sector needs urgent financial assistance in order to remain sustainable. This is worrisome as this sector is the one closest to the people when it comes to service delivery and is responsible for delivering essential services to the people. Kutso, can we begin by having you explain what the role of local government is in South Africa and how it is structured?
Thank you, Mduduzi. The role of local government or local government as a whole, and you put it correctly when you say that local government is the sphere of government that is the closest to the people. This is because local government is responsible for providing the basic services of water, of electricity, of sanitation, and of waste removal. However, these are not the only services that are provided by local government. Because Section 155 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa sets out the roles or the objects of local government, and it states that the roles of local government firstly are to promote accountable government for communities while also promoting a healthy and safe environment for communities while also providing services in a sustainable and economic manner. In terms of the structure of local government, the sphere is structured in the form of a three-tier system, wherein we find metropolitan municipalities, local municipalities, and district municipalities. But further categorization is found within local municipalities, wherein we find the so-called B1 category municipalities, or which can be referred to as the secondary cities or intermediary cities, if you like. Secondly, you find the category B2 municipalities, or the large towns as they are also referred to. We also find the B3 municipalities, which are sort of smaller municipalities within local municipalities, and lastly the B3 municipalities, which refer to municipalities that are rural in nature. And then in terms of district municipalities, there are two categories. Firstly, the C1 districts, which are not water services authorities, and we find the C2 districts municipalities, which are water services authorities. It is important also to note that this category of municipalities differ in terms of their size, in terms of administrative capacity, and also financial capacity. So in a nutshell, that is the structure of local government and what local government does for the South African economy.
Can you speak to how these municipalities are funded? And I'd like you to touch on how the varied municipalities are funded in different ways, and what the revenue profiles and revenue raising capabilities of each categories are.
Right, that is a good question. Essentially, municipalities are funded, or the local government sphere is funded mainly in two ways. Firstly, through nationally raised revenue, right? And through the nationally raised revenue, the main allocation that flows to the local government sphere is through the local government equitable share, which is a formula that is population driven, and that also takes into account the number of indigent households in all the municipal areas. Secondly, and still through the national raised revenue, municipalities are allocated conditional grants in the form of infrastructure grants, which enables municipalities, to maintain and also to improve current existing infrastructure, while also building new infrastructure for communities, such as roads, such as dams, such as water infrastructure and the likes, right? Capacity building grants, on the other hand, are aimed at capacitating, the institution itself, institutional capacity of municipalities, you know. And then lastly, there's one allocation, that flows to the 8 metropolitan areas, which is the full levy sharing with metros. And then in terms of sources, own revenue sources, municipalities, and this is legislated in terms of the white paper on local government of 1998. So the white paper is based on the assumption that municipalities have greater revenue raising capabilities as compared to the other 2 spheres of government, being the national and the provincial governments. And as such, municipalities or local government as a whole should not be relying more on nationally raised revenue, but should rather always strive to optimize the current revenue streams at their disposal, so that the reliance on nationally raised revenue would be different to that of the national and the provincial spheres. And then in terms of the assumptions, it's based on a 75% 25% split between nationally raised revenue that flows to municipalities, and then 25%, the whole or majority of the funding being own sources of revenue. That would be through licensing, and also property taxes, tariffs, through the use of water, through the use of electricity, refuse removal, and the likes. And that is basically just how municipalities are funded. But the 3 categories that I mentioned earlier really differ in terms of revenue raising powers, right? The metros, or the bigger municipalities, have greater revenue streams as compared to the smaller municipalities, and also the rural municipalities, wherein there is no really much going on in terms of business, in terms of what they can collect from the end users of services, right? So the fiscal capacity really would differ greatly between, for example, an A municipality, which is a metropolitan municipality, a B1, which is a secondary city, and on the far end, a district municipality. For example, as I mentioned earlier, the differences between a C1 and a C2 is the fact that the C2s, they provide water services. The C1, on the other hand, they do not provide any form of service. Looking at the 4 basic services that I explained earlier. So a C2 would raise more revenue than a C1, right? But a C4 would raise more revenue than a C2. A B1, on the other hand, would raise more revenue than a B2, a B3, a B4, a C1, and a C2, right? Given the socio-economic characteristics of the municipalities.
So do these municipalities all fall within the 75-25% split?
Of course, according to the assumptions of the white paper, that's how it should be. It's not category specific. The white paper doesn't differentiate between an A municipality and a C2 municipality, for example. The assumption is that all the municipalities operate in the same environment, and as such they should all maximize their revenue raising capabilities. They should make the best use of the revenue streams that they have. But where we are right now in this day and age, one would say it is close to being impossible, possible, right? Because why do I say this? And that's why I said these municipalities differ in terms of financial capacity, administrative capacity, and the likes. A C2 municipality or a B4 municipality cannot raise 75% revenue. so they will rely more on national transfers, right? While the A municipalities or the metro municipalities and the B1 to a very large extent are able, to raise such amounts of required revenue as per the white paper on local government, it is close to impossible for rural municipalities, smaller municipalities, and the district municipalities, which then puts those municipalities that cannot raise, a large amount of revenue using own revenue sources to, depend highly on national transfers.
Can you tell us what the effects of a lack of financial capacity are on local government?
Right. So the lack of financial capacity within municipalities is mainly, a lack of service delivery. If a municipality is not well capacitated financially, to deliver services, then there'll definitely be no services that are delivered. All the challenges that municipalities face, ultimately, the end goal is to deliver services. And if there's no staff complements, if there's no technical capacity, for example, if there's no financial capacity, all that boils down to not having to provide the services that are required by the constituencies on the ground.
The last local government elections brought with it or resulted in a number of councils across the country being hung. Can you take us through what some of the effects on service delivery are of having political instability?
That is another good question. And it's the whole issue of coalitions or hung councils, dates back from 2016, right? In the 2016 local government elections, when South Africa was just started, to be acclimatized to the fact that we need now to familiarize ourselves with living with coalition-led municipalities. In 21, again, the number of coalition-led councils increased massively. So. But we've seen over the years, especially in the past 3 years or so, when the coalition-led councils have led, or squabbles in coalition councils have led to a halt in service delivery. As they put it, when two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffer. And this is exactly what's happening. When there's conflicts in council, and so mayor is being removed, and there's no quick solution to the problem, service delivery is halted. On the ground, people cannot get the services that they should be getting. An example is the city of Joburg. Just a few weeks ago, when we saw service delivery being halted for weeks and weeks, refuse wasn't being collected by the municipality for the longest time. You have seen the city of Ekurhuleni also collapsing. Services are not being provided in the city of Ekurhuleni. The city of Tshwane as well is a coalition-led council. In the past year or so, there's been a chopping, cutting and chopping of municipal mayors that side, and so many squabbles within council that has led to service delivery, services not being delivered. You look at the city, how it is and how it used to be pre-2016, and you look at it now, it's not a beautiful picture, or it's not what we would expect coalition-led councils to be, how they should be operating, because in essence they and coalition councils, we have to say that by their nature, it's not a bad arrangement. There just has to be that willingness from both parties to work together to achieve a common goal, which is to provide services to the people. But the nature of politics in our councils is such that the needs of the political parties are being put first before the needs of the constituencies, which are the end users of services, which now creates problems not only for the municipality but for the rest of the citizens in the areas.
All right. We've spoken about the many varied challenges that local government is facing at the moment. Are there any examples where municipalities have been able to overcome these challenges?
Yes, definitely. If we are to use, the Auditor General's report on audit outcomes as a measure, of top performing or best performing municipalities and worst performing municipalities, then we can indeed say that there are municipalities that are really performing well. For example, you look at the West Coast District Municipality here in the Western Cape, having achieved 12 consecutive clean audits. That is a clean audit every year for the past 12 years, and is ranked as the best performing municipality in South Africa, followed by Oversight and the Witzenberg local municipalities, who have achieved clean audits consistently and consecutively for 10 years. So what is it that they are doing? These municipalities are characterized, by high levels of accountability, proper financial management systems in place, transparency, citizen participation, that brings with it such rewards such as accountability and proper financial management systems, and also proper governance systems. Because when you have the citizens, the constituencies of the services taking part in the democratic process, then municipal managers and everyone in the municipality knows that they have to deliver services timelessly and to the best of their abilities.
Yeah. That was my last question. Thank you, Kutso, for this discussion.
Thank you. Do much appreciated.